Good morning. Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about worrying, worrying about the future. And you know how the song goes, baby, don't worry about a thing because every little thing is going to be all right. Enjoy the morning show, folks. Let's get it rolling.
Financially free and enjoy more of what the world has to offer. This action one, because this is where most human beings screw the pooch.
So a little one-person trampoline. Very
If I screen shared it, like there's no excuse. Like phone numbers are just out there. You just got to pick up the phone, smile, and dial. So.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Taryn Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. This morning, we're talking about worrying, and we're going to run through, essentially, our goal as to how to stop worrying. Well, disclaimer here. Worrying is going to be a part of all of our lives. The true question will be is how long and how often does an individual worry? And our mission here is to help with the reduction and reducing negative effects of worrying. So we can really identify and go through, because why do people worry? Maybe let's get through a few of these to maybe help better frame and understand worrying in general. So this was what made the most sense to me after doing a lot of extensive research over the weekend on these questions and topics that we'll be going through this week. And benefit of worrying. So future thinking, that's what we're getting out of it, right? Thinking about the future allows us to plan and to prepare for what is to come. Very useful skill when it comes to survival. There's no doubt that we are going to need to plan for tomorrow. There's no doubt that we're going to need to invest. We're going to have to orchestrate, put together resources and stuff into the future. That is a natural part of being a successful human being and growing towards our goals. So we do have to think about the future in some way. Can we flip the switch? Can we reframe in a positive way to kind of make it work in our favor? Because this is what's usually happening, is this word catastrophizing. And try to name it, try to label it when it comes up. This is the first part of everything we're going to be running through here today. And this is what I've done so often, and it's caused me a lot of suffering and a lot of pain. So I'm hoping that I can help bring awareness to you guys and it can help reduce your suffering and pain. Catastrophizing, this is when worrying is exaggerated, out of control, and impacting your ability to function. So what we do is we plan a little bit. So say if you are thinking into the future, most people live into the future or they're living into the past to avoid the present moment. But say on the future side of things, that's what we're focusing on today. Future side of things, you plan something out. You get it done. It takes 5 minutes. You plan out what you want to do. The next couple steps are planned out for tomorrow, the next week, whatever to come, month, year, yada, yada. And what we do is, so we have the plan set, and then we worry about all the little details and possibilities that could come in and cause us more suffering, things that we're worried about. And I believe this is why people worry about the future so much, is because we only need to think about the future for like a couple minutes a day. Really, that's it. You just plan out your day, you plan out what's to come, you check in on it, and then you let it go and you move back to the present moment, or you're being grateful for the past, or you're just excited for the future, one of the things. But what happens is we do a little bit of planning, and then everything else stacked on top of it is worrying in a negative manner. And I think this is causing a lot of suffering. And we are catastrophizing in the sense that we're exaggerating what is going to possibly happen. It's all worst case scenario, because the human brains are built to survive, not to feel joy and happiness all the time. So we're always trying to figure out a way. So this, just acknowledging that this is totally normal and this is human, everyone suffers from this. And our goal, again, is not to get rid of it completely, but the reduction of it. But catastrophizing is one of the things I wanted to put on here right away. because I do it all the time. You probably do it all the time, and it's causing us a lot of suffering and pain. That's just absolutely not necessary. We'd be lying to ourselves if we needed to catastrophize all the time nowadays with all the systems, tools, technology, support, resources that we have, so we can try and back off of this catastrophizing and naming it. When you think of a situation, say with a possible argument with somebody you haven't even had an argument with, a possible think you're going to get fired when you haven't even been fired yet, the possible relationship ending or this and that happening when it hasn't even happened yet, that's catastrophizing, and we want to really try to reduce that because it is really painful. Next up is we have challenge the benefit on here. So we just want to challenge the benefit of worrying. So we've talked about what is the benefit of worrying. It's not even worrying. Worrying is not the benefit. It is planning that is the benefit. But this is why people do worry, is because they believe that worrying about it is going to help create a better result into the future. That's what we believe. So if we can challenge the thought. So when it comes in, we were talking about catastrophizing. So when catastrophizing comes in and we're suffering from something that is not real, that is not true, that has not happened, and we're just suffering to suffer, then we need to start challenging this benefit. And awareness is the first step. And we're not going to be good at this. Nobody's good at anything we don't do all the time. And I'm still working on this. I'm sure you have a lot of room to improve in this as well. But just challenge it. When the thought comes in that's starting to get you worried, oh, I'm worried about my investments. Oh, I'm worried about my career. I'm worried about my part. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. And we start to challenge and then really just ask yourself that basic question. Is this helping me or is this hurting me? It sounds basic. It sounds lame, but just ask the question. Because once we start to realize how redundant and how useless these horrible, heavy, negative thoughts are on us, then we stop to we give them less weight. We wouldn't worry if we didn't believe it gave us some benefit. So we need to break this belief. We need to be able to break it up, challenge it. And I think just raising awareness and challenging is the first step. So you have a worrying thought come into your head, challenge the benefit, challenge it every single time, challenge it. Is this helping me? Is this hurting me? Do I want to be thinking about this? Cars on a highway, thoughts, they come into that and then we let them on go. Okay, next up. So now let's get into a few more specific strategies outside of just being in our headspace. So we've just identified why people do this. It's a planning survival mechanism. Catastrophizing, this is where a lot of the pain is really coming from. And now we're starting to challenge it. So it comes in, we challenge it. Okay, I'm catastrophizing. I'm challenging it now. And now what can we actually do from a strategy perspective to really reduce and just not be worrying as much, nearly as much? I think the first thing is to set time to plan. People who are in a rush, including myself, when we are in a rush, we tend to worry. So if you feel like you worry all the time, ask yourself, are you in a rush? Are you rushing to the next thing? What are you in a rush for? Are you trying to live even faster? Are you trying to just get old? What are you in a rush to? And I think just when I say that out loud, it makes me just kind of pull back and be in the moment a little bit more. And that makes me feel good. What am I in a rush to? This is what I actually want. I have my health. I have my relationships. I have I can function. I can think clear. I have my youth. Yeah, again, I have my youth. What am I rushing towards? And I just acknowledging that tends to help slow things down for me a little bit. Hopefully it can help you too. So maybe getting up 10 minutes earlier and not looking at your cell phone might not make the rush to work as chaotic. It might reduce some of that worrying. It might reduce some of that catastrophizing. Or say if you're going to an airport, or if you're vacationing, or if you're just meeting up with friends, or if we can not be in a rush, I think we can really help reduce our worry. And how do you do that? We set time to plan. So why are we worrying all the time? We talked about this. It's a thinking, a planning, a survival tool. And we want to do that. So if we can set a time to do that and then plan it all out, and then when the thoughts come in again and again and again, because they're going to, I don't think we have any idea of where these thoughts come from. If you're a big believer in the I'm not my mind, I'm not my body, I'm not this or that or whatever. So we have no idea where these thoughts are even coming from. So that's crazy enough. So we need to, if we can set up and plan out the week, plan out the day, say on Sunday, instead of watching a bunch of football, and then we can just kind of plan out our week, and then we can be a little comfortable on that. And then when the thought comes in Monday morning, oh, I'm worrying about this. Oh, I'm worrying about that. It's like, no, I've already made my plan. I've already set things up. Cars on a highway, the thoughts come in, boom, I let them go. Preparation, I think, can go a long way. The next strategy would be for worrying less, would be nourish and hydrate yourself properly. I think when we drink alcohol, when we consume nicotine, when we smoke pot, when we do all these substances or whatever, eat processed unhealthy foods, I think it riles our emotions up, and I think that causes us to worry. So if you are worrying, and including myself, acknowledge that unless I eat completely perfect and I meditate 20 hours a day, I'm going to worry at some point in my life. It is the problem that we all share. It is something that is natural and it's going to happen. But I think we can greatly reduce the amount of worrying that we have just by drinking water, just by not eating processed bullcrap, just by sleeping properly, by taking care of ourselves. I believe just worrying is going to naturally reduce. No wonder why everyone's all riled up. We can't even pronounce the ingredients on the foods that we're eating. We're drinking a bunch of alcohol on the weekends, and it's throwing our sleep off, and then we're exhausted during the week. So no wonder why we're feeling massive amounts of anxiety, and everyone's all riled up, worrying about the future, worrying about this, worrying about that, and then bam, straight to the smartphone. Insane millions, billions of bits of information blasting our eyeballs and our brains. So maybe we need to just nourish and hydrate ourselves in a little bit better. And it sounds super basic, but man, getting back to the basics usually is the answer. So if we want to reduce worrying, make sure that we're checking in and we're nourishing and we're hydrating properly, healthy foods, clean water, and see if that can help with our worrying problems. Next up, we have, this is one of my favorite exercises ever. It's amazing what a best friend can do, right? Think about you talking to your best friend. Oh, I can talk to this person about anything. Think of this person. And when we start to worry, take this frame. Framing is one of the most powerful tools humans can ever possess. Consciousness, perspective, this stuff is for us. It's to help us, right? To thrive, to have a better life. And maybe we can use this tool to really improve the quality of our own lives. So next time you're worrying about something, say you're worrying about your future career. I'm worrying about my career. I'm worried about money. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. Next time, I want you to think of, if you were explaining this to your friend, you're explaining to you have the thought in your head and you're explaining it to your best friend. Hey, best friend, I'm really worried about my career, and I'm really worried about like my promotion, and I'm really worried about this. Like, how should I feel about this? What should I think about? What's some advice you would give me? And you'd be blown away the advice that you would give. You would say, oh yes, best friend, that's really heavy and that's really tough. If a good friend would acknowledge the pain, that's good. That's good first step. That's totally normal. I feel the same way. I'm worried about this too. And then it starts to humanize it. It's like, oh, this is a common problem that we all do? Yes. Oh, well, have you thought about maybe applying for a few different jobs? Have you thought about maybe going back to college? And they start presenting options. They start presenting things. So taking the best friend approach is usually really good. So if you have a worry come in, and this worrying thought's troubling me, it's causing me some anxiety, it's causing me some pain, frame it as a question or a statement to your best friend and ask, well, how do you feel about it? And then they will tell you back, oh, you could maybe do this. This sucks. You can hear some more options, and you'd be blown away on how much that helps people calm down and feel better about a situation. So talk it through with a friend and ask yourself, what would you say to your friend? So if your best friend was having this worrying thought, so I'm worried about that promotion, I'm worried about my career, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. If your best friend was saying that thought to you, what advice would you give them? Stick with that, because it's probably really good. I've rarely ever heard in coaching and working with people not had incredible advice like that they could just give to their best friend, because these are people we love and care about. And it's unfortunate, but we tend to treat other people better than ourselves. And we really need to stop doing that, because if we don't treat ourselves right, then we're not going to act right. And we're going to worry about a bunch of useless crap that hurts us anyway. Okay. Again, the goal was for this episode was to remove and reduce uncertainty. So uncertainty, not knowing what is happening into the world, what's moving forward in the future, is causing us to need to plan. And then after we plan, then everything beyond that is the catastrophizing and worrying about this and worrying about that. And we're never going to run a mile in 0 minutes and 0 seconds. So the goal is to remove and reduce. So if we can just reduce the uncertainty, reduce it with planning and with talking with our friends, talking with our family about the worries, I think it can help greatly. This last one that comes up, and I can literally hear my coach in my ear saying this to me right now, but what we resist persists. So if you have a worry and you do not take action to change, say if you are worried about your health and you are not nourishing yourself, and you are not hydrating properly, you're not drinking enough good, clean water, you're eating a bunch of crap foods into your body. If you are worried about your health, if you keep resisting this, if you keep resisting the worrying and the troubles, and we do not change our actions, then it's only going to get worse. If you worry about that promotion, if you worry about your career, and we don't take action steps to change it, it's going to get worse. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse. You'd be you're probably not blown away, but the human mind is so strong that we can really hammer down and make us feel bad about a situation if we allow it to persist. And that's what the majority of this human suffering really is. In my experience, I can only speak from my personal experience, but the majority of my suffering is from the perpetuation of just a few problems, because I didn't take action on to try and alleviate, help, and support myself. So next time you're worrying about a particular thing, say if it's a family member, say if you're worrying about money, you're saying you're worrying about your career, whatever it is, if we can plan out just a few things to help with that, and then take action on, receive evidence, because humans love evidence. We love social proof. We want to prove to ourselves that it works. And once we prove that, then we should be able to alleviate, because we wouldn't have these perpetuating thoughts if we didn't believe that they were going to give us something. And if it's trying from a survival perspective, if you're worrying about it, it's trying to get you to change. But if you do not change, then the resisting is going to cause this to persist and grow and just get worse and worse. So that was my take on worrying. Additionally, we had over here on YouTube, I wanted to share my screen real quick. In our files, we had, if you go to past live streams under here, I talked about worrying a little bit more, and I talked about a few more things. It was episode 340, I believe. 340. Yep. Why worrying is useless garbage. And I went over a lot more other tips and tricks. Mainly, I went over the 7 reasons why I believe worrying is why it's like really damaging to our health. So if you want even more stuff on worrying, this is probably the episode for you. I can go ahead and copy the link and I can put it in the chat comments. I can get over here this morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Everyone having a good morning? Are we worried about what's going on? Are we feeling good about the actions that we're taking? We feeling good about this week? But I'm going to go ahead and kick that back off. But yeah, if for any of our older content, you can always go to YouTube, go to past live streams with typing out this for at One Page Life Plan. And there's almost 400 of those suckers on there now, hopefully to help you become the best person you can be. That's all I really had for worrying this morning. Let's go ahead and run through this really quick. So we went about why do people actually worry? It's about planning and survival, what catastrophizing is and why this is usually the main thing that's causing human suffering when we worry. We're going to start challenging and just raising awareness. We're going to catch ourselves in the act of doing it. We're going to prepare, planning out, writing in a notebook, writing out in an online calendar, just some type of planning tool, whatever you have or you can use. We're going to nourish and hydrate ourselves because if we're unhealthy, we're going to feel like crap regardless. Next is we're going to talk to ourselves like we'd be talking to our best friends. Remove and reduce the uncertainty is the goal. And if we resist this, just know that it's not going away anytime. The energy's already in us. So we need to be able to work on it to alleviate it, right? So what we resist persists. That's all I had here this morning, folks. Thank you all so much. This was Do You Worry About the Future? And in 20 minutes, we hopefully helped with that reduction of worrying. And in case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're a badass. You got this. And we're going to have an incredible, incredible day today. Let's have fun. Let's go do something nice for somebody. And I will catch you guys bright and early tomorrow as we have another fun-filled one. I'm going to talk about caring what other people think and how we can try to reduce that as much as possible, because I believe that also hinders our ability to take action pretty massively. So I'm going to do some more research on that and pull up some more case studies from my coaching clients. And hopefully we can have some more nuggets and gems for you guys to hopefully improve yourselves. Thanks, friends. That's all I had today. Cheers, and catch you on the next one. I'll be live 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with another episode of the Talk Taryn Morning Show.